I've been enjoying the comedy for the last couple episodes, but I'm also enjoying the serious side of the series too. I'm a fan of well-developed romances, so I like the fact that they're actually developing the relationships between Harutora and Hokuto, Harutora and Suzuka, and Harutora and Natsume. So, I actually am enjoying this part of the episode a lot. Yo, you guys, this is Blacklist of the Abyss, and you're watching my review for Tokyo Ravens, episode 12. And this episode is all about the training camp. Well, not all about the training camp. That's where it takes place. They're having this training camp, which is pretty much a class. But Haruto and Natsume are excited about it, and everyone's on the sitting there on the bus like, why are these guys so happy? And it turns out they're happy because they're finally able to get away from the Suzuka. Unfortunately, as soon as they get there, they realize that Suzuka is going to be at this training camp too, so their spirits instantly drop. But it turns out that the training camp, that the stuff that they're doing there for training is all stuff involving simple familiars. Specifically, the part of the training that we see is them making curry with these simple familiars, and pretty much everyone fails at it except for Natsume, Kyoko, and Suzuka. So, which is, you know, not surprising. I mean, who else would do well in it? Like, there's no one. Toji wasn't, or Toji showed up afterwards because he was getting examined by Harutora's father. Um, yeah, so he missed the training. He went to the training camp and skipped all the training pretty much. Um, but once he actually arrives, he talks to Suzuka, and this is like the impetus for what happens for the rest of the episode. He, now I'll get to that later because we do get another scene before that. It's Harutor talking to that one girl from a couple episodes ago who's obsessed with lollies. Um, I guess you could consider her a lolicon, even though she's a girl. But yeah, she has this obsession with little girls, and she doesn't even recognize Harutora without Cone being without Cone being next to him. So he brings out Cone and then just starts playing with her tail. And then after that, she just instantly remembers who he is. If she was messing around with him, I don't know, but I'm not sure if that was the case, but I'll just assume that she wasn't messing around. She actually didn't remember him, just for the heck of it. I mean, that's what it looked like, so just assume that. And he ends up while she's playing with Cone. While she's playing with Cone, Harutora asks her a question. Specifically, he asks her about pretty much about Hokuto. I mean, he doesn't come out and say he's asking about Hokuto because she doesn't know who Hokuto is, but he asks about the feasibility of creating a simple familiar that looks like a human and is actually confused for a human. A familiar that is so human-like that people don't even realize it's a familiar. And he asks about being able to manipulate that familiar from a far distance away. So he's pretty much asking about Hokuto, and she says that doing something like that is possible, but it takes a lot of skill. We get a confirmation of that later on from Kyoko. Yeah, she says that Natsume is the only person she could think of who could actually accomplish something like that. Um, I'm sure there are a lot of characters stronger than Natsume, so I don't know why she was the only one that come to mind, but I mean, you got 12 divine generals. I'm sure at least one of them can do that. Whatever. There are a lot of characters in the series who are OP, including former divine generals like Gene Ultimo. But after this little scene of the episode, this is when we actually get to the conversation that Toji has with Suzuka before he just asked her to go talk to him. and now we're actually seeing the talk. For the first thing he does is reveal his ogre form, I guess you could call it. Um, and during this point of the scene, we get confirmation that Shido Dairenji is Susuke Dairenji's father. I mean, we could assume we could assume that they were obviously related, and the the relationship they had, it's not like it could be that many things. I like, brother, cousin, father, uncle, like, not nephew, that's for sure. There's not that many things that they could have possibly been, and was the father was the one that you would assume. So we finally get a confirmation of that, since this series doesn't really like to confirm things, but we finally get a confirmation of that at least. And he also ends up talking to her about a partnership, her and him and Harutora and Natsume, in order to fight against the Yako devotees. And he ends up telling, or Susuka ends up telling him and Harutora and all the rest of the gang, including Kyoko and Tenma. I just named everybody except for Natsume. There was no point saying the gang. She tells everyone about the Twin Horn Syndicate, okay? And pretty much all the information here is stuff we already know. But, like I said, it's actually a confirmation of things. Like, we had pretty much assumed that that old guy was Domon. But I don't think it was legitimately confirmed that that guy specifically was Domon. It was something we assumed. It was something that was kind of obvious, but they never really just came out and said it until now. So, most of the stuff they were talking about was stuff we technically knew. All right, but it's kind of all old news. It's news to the rest of the guys, but not to us. And after hearing what Susuka has to say, Natsume says that she wants to find out whether or not she really is the reincarnation of Yaku Tsuchimikado. And the way to do that would be to get the Raven's Coat, which is at the Omio Agency. And the Raven's Coat is the coat that Yako himself used to wear. And that apparently has the ability to figure out if someone is the reincarnation of Yako. And the reason that Suzuka knows this, she's the one that mentioned it. The reason all the stuff she learned about Yaku Tsuchimikado, she learned from the report of this guy Ryo Saotome. Okay, and no one really knows anything about him except for Gene Ultimo apparently. But yeah, Suzuka doesn't know anything about him, but he wrote this report, and he knows something about Yako. He knows a decent amount about Yako. He used to be in the Ghost Division, for like what did she say, like a week or a month or a year, something like that. Something with a 1, right? But something like that. But the point is that not much is known about him. And after hearing all this, Toji asks Natsume to go along with different experiments that Suzuka is going to do. And Harutora says no, because it's dangerous, and he's supposed to protect her because that's his job as her familiar. So he hasn't really done a good job of it so far, but literally watching as the Ogre Eater, one of the 12 Divine Generals, sits there and picks her up by the collar. He just sits there and watches. But when it comes to Suzuka, that's a completely different story. But anyway, Suzuka ends up saying no anyway, so not a big deal. But it is a big deal. But moving on, this entire conversation that they're having is being monitored by both Gene, Ultimo, and Principal Kurahashi. Okay, and Ultimo mentions that the Raven's coat at the Omio Agency is actually a replica, and the real one is at Omio Prep. Okay, so at the school, so it's the real coat has been right under their noses the entire time, right? And when Mio asks him, how do you know that? Who told you that? He says he heard it from Saotome. So, like I mentioned before, no one really knows anything about Ryo Saotome except for Gene Otomo. I'm sure others do, but just no one that we know of so far. And at this point, it's like getting dark. It's evening, and the next thing we see is Mike. Everyone's sleeping for the most part. Harutora and Natsume couldn't get to sleep though, and Natsume ends up going to the hot springs because it's not like she could go when all the guys were in there. And when she's in there, I thought for sure that some guy was gonna walk in there, but no, it turns out that girls walk in on the other side, specifically Kyoko and Susuka. And Kyoko is acting like your typical Kyoko. Did I say Kyoko? I don't even, whatever. Kyoko. Um, Kyoko is acting like your typical Japanese female anime character that is obsessed with other females. Um, she's not a lesbian because she likes Natsume, but she's still obsessed with the bodies of other females. That's something we see all the time in animes, and I just thought it was weird that Kyoko of all people had that same trait. That kind of just surprised me because I didn't see her as that type of character, but apparently she likes herself some women too, but just not as much as men. But Natsume specifically. But she's pretty much just messing with Suzuka. She forced Suzuka into the hot spring pretty much. Suzuka tries to leave pretty quickly, 10 quick seconds, and Kyoko's not having any of it. She kind of just grabs her towel, and she ends up getting her to talk specifically about how she feels about Harutora. And she never comes out and says that she likes Harutora, but she does say that that he likes someone already. Specifically, what the way she phrases it, she says that he's already developed feelings for someone else. He likes someone. Yeah, she's saying he likes someone already. And when I first heard that, I was just assuming that she meant Natsume. But no, she's actually talking about Hokuto, which we find out a little later on. Um, and speaking of Natsume, they actually talk about her for a little bit too. And Suzuka says she doesn't like Natsume because she just doesn't like people like Natsume. And she never really elaborates on that, but I'm sure we'll find out eventually. After this, we see Yasuzumi, the head of the Tsuchimikado family, talking with Mio Kurahashi, and he mentions that a shadow has appeared in their stars, referring to the school and the students. And I forgot what exactly his power was, like foresight or something. I mentioned it a few episodes ago. I don't remember which one. But he has some like power of like foresight or something, like he can read the stars, something like that. Um, and we know that he's Natsume's dad, but Mio says that he examined one of their students, and we didn't see the guy's face, but the person we saw examining Toji early in the episode, I can't really say he looked like Yasuzumi, but because we didn't see his face, but I mean, he kind of did from the back. I mean, it kind of looked like him. But when we actually saw that scene, it was when Harutora was talking about his dad. So at the beginning I assumed that was Harutora's dad, not Natsume's. So that kind of confused me, because is Yasuzumi Natsume's dad or Harutora's? I that kind of confused me, but whatever. Whatever. It's not that big of a deal. I mean, it is, but not really. Um, what he said is much more important. A shadow has appeared in their stars, and the next day, Toji can be seen with Natsume telling her to confess to Harutori. He just says, you should confess to him, and Natsume kind of resolves herself to try harder. She doesn't. She decides not to just go out and confess to him because she wants to verify his feelings first. But she's actually starting to try and make progress now, so that's a step in the right direction for her. And after that, we see Kyoko and Suzuka talking to Harutora. At first, it's just Kyoko, but Kyoko tries to tell Harutora that Suzuka likes him, likes yeah, likes him, and Suzuka has like super ears or something, super hearing, and comes flying in there, and she shuts her up, and she ends up mentioning at this point, like I said before, that the person she was talking about before, who Harutora has feelings for, is Hokuto. And he kind of gets serious at this point because he sees the look on Suzuka's face, and he can tell that she's serious about it and everything. And he probably thinks it's more guilt about killing her than um, her liking him. But either way, he gets serious and he says, I back then I considered Hokuto to be one of my best friends, but looking back on it, I probably did like her, and I would want to see her again. And this is when Hyoko brings up the fact that Natsume is the only person she knows of who would actually be able to accomplish something like creating a familiar, controlling it from a distance, and having it be so human-like that no one notices it's a familiar, except for Toji, because apparently he knew the entire freaking time. Never decided never to say anything, but whatever. I didn't even talk to her about it, to Hokuto, but whatever. Guess he just didn't see a reason to, for some reason. But yeah. Harutora hears Kyoko's idea that maybe it was Natsume. Well, not really an idea. It's just her thinking aloud, really. But he doesn't think it could be Natsume because the two of them, Natsume and Hokuto, have two different personalities. And he says the stupid line about how, like, if it was Natsume controlling Hokuto, then there's no way I wouldn't notice that. But he's your typical dense harem lead, so of course he wouldn't notice. But yeah, apparently during that conversation, Toji and Natsume were listening in. But yeah, I mean they were listening in. Natsume wasn't exactly like excited, but she was kind of saddened after hearing how Harutora felt about Hokuto. Probably thinking about how she's probably blaming herself for how hurt he was when Hokuto was killed. Because had she not sent her in the first place, he never would have had to feel that pain. But at the same time, he never would have enjoyed the moments he spent with her. So you got to look at it from both sides. But Natsume's probably only looking at it from the one. So that's probably why she was saddened. But the end of the episode is the bus ride back, and Harutora sees this ribbon in Natsume's hair, and he remembers that it's the same ribbon that, or at least it looks exactly the same as the ribbon that he got Hokuto the night of that festival when he won that prize for her. And he says at the end of the episode, at the end of the episode, it looks like he's found out that Natsume was in fact the person controlling Hokuto. However, when it comes to dense harem leads, you can never be too sure. So I wouldn't I'm not gonna come out and say that I think he knows now because he probably doesn't. And let's just be honest, he's a dense harem lead. I mean that if he hasn't figured it out by now, then he's gonna literally need to be told. So whatever. But that's it for the episode. Wow, 18 minutes, Jesus Christ. I'll give this episode an 8 out of 10. It was kind of the last half was better than the first half, in my opinion. The first half, everything up until Toji's conversation with Suzuka and Suzuka talking with the gang. Everything before that was cool, I guess, but I mean, it's not like how I was thinking, wow, this is so good so far. So I'll just give the episode an 8 out of 10 because I thought the second half was actually great, just because of all the development. But yeah, that's it. I'll give this episode an 8 out of 10. Rate, comment, subscribe. and I'll see you guys next time, probably in a couple weeks, assuming that an episode doesn't come out next week. Yeah, see ya.